Hi, everyone. I'm Ambrose with 3i Technologies, and I'm joined today by one of our finalists participating in the Oculus Fund. Launched in 2022, the Oculus Fund is a $10,000 grant awarded for small business startups. The fund aims to create new opportunities for entrepreneurs to create more startups, more jobs, and a brighter future for Battle Creek. Today, we have Matthew Putman from StrainGuard.
Hi, I'm Matthew Putman, co-founder of StrainGuard LLC, a business my wife and I founded. I was born and raised here in Battle Creek. I joined the Navy, spent 20 years off and on in Virginia, came back in the early 2000s, was disabled in 2014, and I love RVing. It's something I got from my dad. We all traveled when we were kids, and then he became a master RV tech. And I've been Navy fire controlman on the first Aegis cruiser, the USS Ticonderoga. I've driven truck. I've been all over, kind of.
So, what led up to you starting this company?
I got injured and became disabled and couldn't work, so I started RVing, camping. And we were at campground. We had an electrical failure, and I was troubleshooting that, saw a fire inside the camper walls. I ran out, yelled at my wife that we had a fire. I go out, pulled it apart, and I learned from my father and plus my Navy experience how to troubleshoot. And what had happened was a heavy cable weight pulling down on the connection created a bad electrical connection, create heat, which the heat did the meltdown. So I said, I don't want this to happen again. I got to have something to prevent it. And I went looking. There was absolutely nothing. We went and we started putting something together. And to be very honest, the very first design I came up with, my wife laughed at me and said, no, this is more of what I'm thinking. And it's more along the design we have today. Our goal is to prevent campers from going through what we did. I love camping. I love to see families, especially young families and retired people doing it. And usually the young family and the retired, they're more on a budget. So they can't afford for a fire or damage from that, and the expensive repair bills that average $200 an hour for a repair facility. So we're hoping we're providing a, how do you want to say it, a budget-friendly solution to reduce. I'm not ever going to say eliminate because there's some things we can't control. We can reduce the risk of it and hopefully save them money and hopefully make their camping more enjoyable.
So we're talking the cable that's the shore cable from like at the campground, electrical cable that plugs directly into the RV. That's where your product comes into play, correct?
Correct. It is going to, you have a connector and it screws on to the side of the RV and the cables pull down on that connector. So what our device does is it comes up and it cradles the connector and it supports that cable from behind the connector. When the weight pulls down, our device rests against the side of the vehicle and it maintains the electrical connection to prevent the heat buildup from a bad connection, or poor connection.
I imagine that the RV campgrounds, if that's what they're called, probably would also find benefit to this because they would have less issues with the people staying there. Who is the target audience for this?
My personal target audience are retired and families with children because they're on the strictest budget and $200 an hour repair bills don't fit in as well with those budgets. So that's where I really want to reach out to the most because they're the ones that need the protection.
And then the path for them to procure all of that is through a variety of dealerships and distributors.
Our intention is to go through RV trade shows, have a website for e-commerce, plus we're going to go through dealerships, repair facilities, and then we're going to have industry suppliers that supply to dealerships that may not be big franchise, say a Camping World, but onesie-twosies that buy theirs through a distributor.
Yeah. What sets you say you didn't even find, I was going to say, what sets your product apart from the other ones in the industry, but you said you really haven't come across one.
We finally did about 3 weeks ago. God's honest truth. I'd been saying there was nobody out there, but we did find someone, and it's a product called Smart Plug. And what sets us apart is is we don't do any intrusive installation. Our intellectual property from our patent can be integrated into a connector. So a company making cables could actually integrate it so you wouldn't need a third device. And our product runs under $50, whereas Smart Plug, you have to install a special connector on your camper, buy a special cable, and its cost is right about $700. To me, I'd go with the 50, but
I agree. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, good differentiators. What would the funding provide to your business if you were awarded the Oculus Fund?
right now what we're looking with the Oculus Fund is for two things. We're really looking to get our UL certification because we want independent testing to go out and show the consumer we're bringing you a serious product and that we believe in it, that we're getting independent testing to validate what we're saying. That's the first part. And that's right around 7,000, 7,500, I think, is where we're going to come in at. And then we're going to have what they call engagements with the U.S. Patent and Trade Office. We've been our patents published, our patent application, which means now everybody can look at it. But now they'll probably reject it and tell my lawyer he has to do things. So I have to have funding to keep that application alive and moving. So those are the two things that we're going to do with the Oculus funding.
I imagine you need to have all of the certifications and everything reviewed before, before companies start to take on inventory and like really take it seriously and find other additional partners. Is that?
I think with us getting the independent testing, we're also working with a university here in the state of Michigan that's doing independent testing as well to give validation to the product. And I think that shows investors, that shows consumers. We're not just throwing something together in a garage and selling it to you. We're researching it, we're validating it, and we know we can expand into recreational marine craft and into electric vehicles. But we're doing our startup focused on RVs, one, because that's where my heart is. I love RVs. And two, if we do a focused startup, we ensure a quality product to the consumer and that they're not just buying something that's not any good for.
That's great. What about over the next year or two? Where do you see your strain guard?
At the point right now is we're getting ready to start what I call a soft opening, where we're going to be doing some very low volume sales. But within a year, we'll be in full production and hopefully really running hard. We'll be going to a lot of trade shows. And within 12 months, I want to be at least started on marine craft, if not all the way into electric vehicle industry.
Any other milestones or goals that you have set in the short or long term?
The biggest goals are getting our patent. No, so we can no longer say patent pending. We want patented. The other main goal is to finish any of the minor tweaks to the design and lock down so that we can buy the molds for injection molding, which will allow us to produce mass quantity versus the way we're going to do the low volume production. And that's a very large investment, but we want to make sure that we've counted everything before we do it. We just don't want to buy a mold and then throw away $50,000.
Totally understandable. Now, you've been on this journey for a little while now. Do you have any advice for other people looking to start up a small business in the Battle Creek area?
My biggest piece of advice is understand you don't know what you don't know. And I've had people tell me that's very confusing, and it's not. You don't know because you haven't been exposed to the things you need to learn. And taking advantage of any program that the city or universities or something that offer or organizations, maybe the Chamber of Commerce, that help educate you on the pathway of entrepreneurship. I didn't realize all the things involved, from writing a business plan, defining a value proposition, just things like that. And as long as you understand there's things you still need to learn and you're open-minded and going and getting it, you'll do okay.
Any shout outs of some of those resources you've recently participated in?
Yes, most definitely. DAV Patriot Boot Camp in Erlanger, Kentucky at DAV headquarters, Disabled American Veterans. We were even honored to have Chef Robert Irvine, who's one of our mentors during it. Grand Valley State University, the Michigan Veteran Entrepreneur Lab held here in Battle Creek at the new Innovative Hub. Outstanding program. And a great shout out to Battle Creek Food Reimagined. They opened up grants, and they have, I know a friend, he went through another one of their programs for helping food businesses. Phenomenal people. Oh,
That's great. I've had some other interviews. They were also saying good things about taking advantage of the classes and the workshops and the networking that's available to help, because it's complicated and there's a lot of paperwork and there's a lot of applying to things and reapplying. And
oh yeah, it gets overwhelming. And I'll give you a good example is as finances, I'm not a money guy. And I was at DAV Patriot Boot Camp, and a gentleman heard me talking about Strain Guard, and he got a hold of me. He says, will you call me when you get home? And he is now the CEO of our company. He's an MBA and a CPA. And he brings in a whole different aspect of skill sets. And when you do these programs and you network, the people you meet and the resources that you can draw on, it makes it a lot easier.
that does it. That was Matthew Putnam from Strain Guard. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.